Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unleashing Potentials podcast. So, joining me today is Nrgy, all the way from the US. Where in the US are you?
I'm in the South in the state of Georgia.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Have you guys been getting smokes from us here?
So, not nearly anything like the northern states.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that air quality has been an issue here in the US coming from Canada.
Hmm.
But thankfully, here in the southern part of the US, not too much.
Hmm. Yeah, we're very nice people normally. It's just nature happens. Yeah, okay. Um, it's summer probably where you are. It's summer everywhere.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, is it scorchy?
It is. We're averaging 90s, 92 so far.
Hmm.
We're still early into the summer and we're already hitting the 90s. So,
Oh,
not looking forward to seeing what the middle of the summer is going to produce.
mhm. Oh, okay. Yeah, we use Celsius. I don't understand Fahrenheit, but that it sounds hot enough.
It's hot. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Welcome to the podcast. So to start, you can tell us anything that you would like to share about you, your story, and what you're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you definitely for having me.
Mhm.
So I'm Nrgy, the owner of Nrgy Speaks Life, and I'm a personal development coach, a court registered mediator, author, and actually a fellow podcast host. I
Mhm.
work with individuals who ultimately they just want to achieve self-mastery. So that's
Mhm.
talking about mindset mastery, emotional well-being, discovering their purpose, you name it.
Mhm.
And as being the self mastery coach is what a lot of people know me as, and a completely different group of people know me as the single parents coach because I work with those two different types of groups of people.
Mhm.
And I've been doing the coaching thing and the mediation thing for over 2 decades now.
Mhm.
My ultimate thing is again just focusing on self mastery because when you master your mind, when you master your emotions, and when you master your assignment, you can live your purpose and live on purpose. And so for me, that's just what I wake up to, work towards to help other people achieve within their own lives
Mhm.
every single day.
Mhm.
Um, and it's basically all about personal development ultimately. So yeah.
Mhm. Oh, wow, that's awesome. We have so much to get to, but we'll take our time. Can you tell me more of the energy? It is energy, but it's spelled differently. I had to ask you how to spell it, but thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's my real name. It's just spelled differently. There are basically no e's, no vowels. But yeah, it's my real name. I get asked that every day, just about.
Oh, wow, that is so unique.
Yeah,
Wow, I love that. That's so unique and cool.
thank you.
Oh, wow. I'm a single parent, and I love that you network with single parent. How are you helping single parents?
So one way that I help single parents is, well, a few ways actually, is the effective communication part with the
Mhm.
other parent. So single parenting and the co-parenting aspect, we work with just both of those areas, because there are some situations where the other parent is still involved. So that's where the co-parenting aspect comes in. But then there are other cases where it's literally just one parent that's present in that child's life. And
Mhm.
so one of the main things is to, again, the being able to effectively communicate if the other parent is involved, because a lot of the issues with the parents is the lack of communication, the lack of uh, feeling heard, the lack of actually listening with intention,
Mhm.
and just miscommunication, misunderstandings,
Mhm.
oftentimes. The other thing that we work on, in addition to the communication piece, is self control, like controlling those emotions, because matters of the heart is, in any sort of relationship or any sort of intimate moments that you've shared with someone, and then it produces a child, the emotions are just, you have to get control of those emotions, because otherwise you can catch yourself kind of, going back and forth in a verbal battle with someone, or
Mhm,
or even from a parenting aspect with the child or your children, where, just from the frustrations of things, being tired, the parent may lash out at the child,
mhm,
so controlling of the emotions is another big thing that we work on. And then
mhm,
also another big piece is time management. So as a single parent, we're time is just not necessarily always, or it may feel that time is not always on our side.
mhm,
And so time management is a big piece of just self mastery altogether, because managing your time instead of letting your time manage you, it produces a completely different experience in life. And so,
mhm, mhm.
yeah, I those are probably the top three things. Of course, there's a few more, but those are probably the top three things that definitely help single parents with.
Mhm. Oh, mine. I've gone through all of those. With my daughter, it's been like over 12 years of battle. And it got to the point I got so exhausted, and that's when my mental health issues started. And there was no communication, and there were lots of conflicts between me and the dad, and then the dad have a woman involved. It was just messy to the point that I didn't give up on my daughter, but I was so sick, physically, mentally, emotionally sick, that I said, keep her. Because if you don't, I might not live to see her grow. That's how bad it got. And I know I'm not alone. Some people are more open to talk about it. Me, I'm as open as can be, because those are real situations that impacts us in so many ways.
Absolutely, and you're definitely not alone.
Mhm,
And it, we made when I say we, society may give us more of the examples from the where the roles are reversed from what you experienced, it you more
mhm,
so to where the father, for an example, the dad may have left and was like, here, just left the mom, completely
mhm,
on her own. We just hear more of it, from that perspective, but
mhm,
it's often where, as the mother,
mhm,
it's just too much. And sometimes the moms, have to say, here's
mhm.
your child,
Yeah.
take him, take her. I can't
Mhm.
do it right now. So I
Yeah,
understand.
it was one of the hardest decisions that I've had to make as a mother. And and I know that it depends on the person perspective of the situation, without even understanding the amount of weight, grief, and guilt that is held and carried on all parties. Some people are very quick to judge without understanding the situation. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the it's funny that you say that, because without the understanding part, because
Mhm,
a lot of people, in different conversations, different groups, different talks that I've been a part of, one of the common things that people ask is, well, what's your favorite word? And
mhm,
for me, it's always understanding,
mhm,
understanding the other person. And so for me, I am very intentional about seeking understanding when I'm communicating with anyone. And I have to explain to people that just because I may seek to understand this person, their choices, their behavior, it doesn't mean that I'm accepting it or agreeing with it. It
mhm,
doesn't mean that I'm
mhm,
agreeing with what they've done, but I'm truly just wanting to understand, well, why did they make that choice? What was the why behind where they are right now? Why did they decide to say what they say, or do what they did? Because there's a reason behind it, whether we like it or not, whether we
mhm,
agree with it or not. But understanding a person is so
mhm,
important, it's so critical in the for me in just the effective communication part, like I mentioned at the beginning, a lot of misunderstandings
Mhm.
cause miscommunications.
Yeah, yeah. Did you notice the amount of cases or people coming to you got higher and grew during the pandemic?
100%. As a coach, that was like the moment of where I said, wow, like this is a job or an industry or a career that is pandemic proof.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know but
Mhm.
yes, and it's unfortunate, but that's life, and people had to really seek out to resources, third parties, professionals, in order to get through life, get through the day-to-day life, once we were going through that whole situation.
Yeah. I don't know what it's like in the States with the court system and the laws and rules, but here it's good, not good enough. Because so many people feel let down. It could be anybody from all walks of life. It doesn't have to be a parent or whatever it may be. We were bickering so much about mask is exemptions and so many other stuff, and we failed to seek out important information to give people. And I really hope we don't get a pandemic anytime soon because we're going to have to go through that again. But we'll be ready, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think we'll be at least a little bit more prepared if we were, to have to go through it again. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it still is bad. My gosh. Sorry, we're touching on that because I can relate to being a single parent. And one thing that most parents do when they're bickering like this is they use their child as a pawn without realizing the damage you're doing to the child. I'm guilty of it. I'm just gonna say it. I realized I was doing it and I had to stop and start healing, not only for myself, but for those who are involved.
absolutely.
Mhm, mhm,
When I'm working with just people, period, whether it be clients or just having casual conversation with someone, if I'm, standing in line and the conversation sparks, or, wherever the conversation is being had,
mhm,
and anytime that there's a child involved, one thing that I do my best to try to refocus that particular person, that parent's attention to, is put the child first.
mm,
Despite what you feel, despite the emotions that you may have, despite the disrespect that you may be receiving from the other parent, or whatever has gone on, at the end of the day, just make sure that the final choice and the final decision is
mhm.
what has the child's best interest in mind. And
Yeah.
that's something that comes up often, of course, in mediation cases that I do regarding that has children involved, is
Mhm,
put the child's interests first. And
mhm,
that will help both parents to really start seeing that the decisions that they make, it's no longer a selfish decision where it's one side against the other side. They
mhm.
start seeing where they can come together and focus on, let's just do what's best for our child.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And I've seen that in court. I remember the first few times when I went, I was all new to it. And every time I proceeded or he proceeded to uh bicker like little kids, the judge would be like, no, 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 that's not why you're here. We're here for your daughter. And it happened over and over. And over time, I learned that this is not about me. This is about her. And this is not about him. This is about her. But yes, I agree. I definitely agree. How do you help people master? I love that word, self mastery coach. That's the first time I've heard that word and talked to someone who is a self mastery coach. How do
Awesome.
you help people master with their mind?
Yeah, so mindset mastery is all about controlling the thoughts that you have, and or with the thoughts that you have, controlling your actions and your responses to those thoughts. Because
Mhm,
yes, there are a lot of thoughts that just literally pop in your head. It can be the craziest thing out of
mhm,
nowhere. The
mhm,
craziest thought may pop in your head. So a lot of those thoughts we may not be able to control, but what we can control is our response or our action or the next thing that we do following that thought.
mhm,
And so part of one of the first steps for mastering your mind or getting that mindset mastery is to have self-awareness. So
mhm,
we work through the process of just becoming aware of self,
mhm.
becoming
Yeah.
aware of those things that may upset you, those things that excite you, the
Mhm,
things that make your skin crawl, the things that may cause tension headaches to
mhm,
just run through your body, for no reason, whatever it is.
mhm, mhm,
It's all about self mastery and identifying those triggers, if you will,
mhm,
those types of triggers that we experience in our day to day life. And so that is a process because it's something that you have to be super mindful, super intentional about every single day. Anytime that you notice, something moving you in any sort of direction, whether it be a positive direction or a negative
mhm,
direction,
mhm,
it's learning self.
mhm, mhm. Ooh, uh, not everyone can master that. I mean, I'm still working on it. That's pretty powerful work because so many of us give in to how we feel. And an example in my experience, I used to let people's actions and words really destroy me, not only on a mental level, but many other ways. Um, if someone is new to that type of work, let's say they're working with you, how would you guide them to master their minds? And we'll get into emotions, but that's still connected to it as well.
It is. And so the first thing, well, just to let you, it is process and
Yeah.
it's a long process.
Mhm.
We do the work on a week to week standpoint, but
Mhm.
the client, the person has to do the work day to day in
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
when we're meeting. But a lot of it is taking or putting pen to paper and taking note of those things now that you are aware of it or you are mindful of paying attention to
Mhm.
things that may happen to you throughout the day. And then now that you're aware of it, take note of it. And then we can start seeing the patterns.
Yeah.
So human beings, we operate, a lot of us, we operate in patterns. And so a
Mhm.
lot of that first initial work for mastering your mindset and controlling your mindset is to figure out what have been your patterns, and then we do the work to create and form new patterns, new
Mhm.
habits, so to speak.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, as you were talking, I'm thinking it's going inward. And
Yes.
most of us don't like to go through our own mess inward. I will speak for myself. It's a place I used to not be friend with, and I used to push it away, reject it. I always give lots of different metaphor examples. It's like having garbage in your house. You know you have to take it out, or else it's gonna smell or rot. But some of us, we don't care to go and to take it out, which makes it very hard to do any type of work.
Absolutely. And
Mm,
that's one of the things that holds most people back is being afraid of facing
mm,
their past, facing the hurt, facing the pain, facing the rejections, facing all of those different experiences.
mhm,
So many people are afraid to just face it.
mhm,
And
mhm,
the thing is the trade-off is much better. If you can go through that temporary pain or hurt or discomfort,
mhm,
it's going to produce a life of peace and calm and tranquility. So it's like the trade off within the person, it has to be worth it and it has to be bigger.
Mhm,
And to
mhm,
even see that, people have to believe that it's possible. A lot of
mm,
people don't believe that living a calm, healthy, non-stressful, peaceful
mhm,
life is possible. So,
mhm, mhm. Oh, I love that you brought up the word believe because our beliefs are one of the many things that holds us back. Because some of us, how we were raised, that's how we choose to see things, even though we're not our family members. We are connected to them, but we're not them. They're separate from us. And I find that at times it's easy to carry past trauma into our present life in adulthood. And one of the many reasons I think it's hard to go inward is because people fear of what they might find and they feel that they're alone, which they're not. There are people like you and many other incredible coaches that are right there to hold their hands to help them process what they're feeling.
100%.
Mhm,
You can't- Yeah, being afraid of your past is letting your past win. It's letting your
mhm,
past control you. And
mhm,
that's why for the work that I do, self-awareness is step one, but the very next step is self-control, not letting your past control you, not letting a past relationship or an ex to control you, not letting your, certain whatever your lifestyle is or circumstances are, not letting those things control you.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, you're right. And you brought self-awareness. That is so important. So many of us are aware of what we need to change. We just don't want to do it because change is hard. And if we change, we might have to change our habits, how we think, how we feel. We might even have to change our circle of friends and people around us. And we don't want to do that. It's our comfort level. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, so that's where a person, has to make a choice. Life is all
Mhm,
about choices. What do you want to continue to live another year, another day of the same life or lifestyle that you've been living?
mhm,
Or do you want something different? Do you
mhm,
want something more? Do you want something that will serve you?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I always tell people you got one life.
Yeah.
I don't know how many, I'm sure there are many other lives, but the one here is just one. You live it and you gone. It's just making the best of it. And some people don't like to be given instructions or talk to like we are their parents or mothers, but some adults, they are behaving like kids and they do need the gentle push and kindness and love to wake up and to actually live, not exist, just to live fully. Mhm. Yeah, how do you help people master their assignment? What do you mean by assignment? Is the job or their potential? What is it?
Both and
Mhm,
yes. So
mhm,
the assignment, the way that I like to explain it is throughout life. So we have a purpose, and the purpose is the that long game, that goal that's, well at the end of our life.
mhm,
But along the journey of our purpose, we have different assignments. Those
mhm.
different things that we're called to.
Yeah.
So for me, for an example, I've had quite a few assignments in my life. And at the time, they didn't necessarily seem to make sense.
Mm,
But I started seeing the connections, and all of those different assignments brought me to where I am today. It helped me be prepared along that journey of development. It helped me be prepared for my overall main purpose. So the assignments are basically those individual callings, those individual moments or phases in your life
mhm,
that you are there for a reason. You are, and
mm,
where you are is where you're meant to be in this moment of your life. So again, giving you an example,
yeah.
one of my assignments were to do something within music, because for
Mm,
me, I understand that music for a lot of people is a form of therapy.
yeah.
And so for me, in my understanding and the way that I talk about assignments is you're using what you're naturally gifted and skilled or talented at, and
Mhm,
you figure out a way of making it work here in life.
mhm,
And so with music, I had a media company where I offered DJ services.
Oh,
So
nice.
I was a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it wasn't about being the life of the party or anything like that. It was
Mm-hmm.
more so giving people a sense of therapy with the song selections
Mm-hmm.
and the transitions from one song to the next song
Mm-hmm.
and understanding BPMs.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was an assignment for my life at that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Transition to another time in my life. So I'm also a real estate broker. I have my own real estate firm here
Mm-hmm.
in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate, for me, that was another assignment in my life. But both of those are completely separate things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I learned and gained along the journey and how both of those developed me with being who I am today, because they develop different types of parts of me. It helped to grow and tweak and refine certain skills and certain traits that were already in me, but that needed to come out in order for me to again eventually reach the ultimate main purpose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. I love that you just go for what you want. You don't really stay in one box. I really have a hard time doing staying in one box. Um, oh, I love that. I love that you brought therapy because therapy has always been a word that scares people without realizing that we are already our own therapist and we're already doing things by ourselves. And the way we're impacting people, we're also giving therapy in a loving, supportive way to our community or people that are involved. How do you continue to work on in your purpose? How do you walk in your purpose?
Making sure that I maintain my focus every
Mhm,
single day. One thing about it for me is there is not a day that goes by where I'm not intentionally writing down, okay, what is my plan for tomorrow? So for like the last 15 to 20 minutes before I go to bed at night, I fill out my daily planner is basically what it is, a daily action planner in
mhm,
order to make sure that I'm not letting my days just fly by
mhm,
because I've been in that type of lifestyle where I don't know if you've ever heard it explained like this, but where it may feel like you're just literally on the hamster wheel,
mhm.
just doing the same thing every day over and over again. And it's like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Like, there has to be more
Mhm,
in life. There
mhm,
has to be more to life than this.
mhm.
And so once I just, started really being intentional
Yeah.
about every single day,
Mm,
that's how it allowed me to really stay focused on achieving my purpose day in and day out. No, every day is not perfect, but that's a part of being a human and that's a part of giving yourself grace.
mhm, mhm,
But at least I know that I'm still working and moving with intention every single
mhm,
day. And so
mhm,
for me, the easiest way is just to write it down and have some sort of a plan, some sort of a
mhm,
guideline for that next day. So when I wake up,
mhm,
I'm not waking up trying to figure out, okay, what am I doing today? No, 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 no. That it's already taken care of. Now I just have to start
mhm.
putting one foot in front of the other.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that. Because I know there might be people who struggle to do what you do without realizing that they can do it differently. It doesn't have to be exactly what you do for them to find meaning and purpose. And some people they're lazy. I'm just gonna say it. They don't want to take the time to write things down or to do things that fulfill them and their journey. Have you worked with people like that? They have a mission, they have a vision, but they're like, I don't want to do it. I just want the result right now.
Yes, definitely. I've worked with people like that. And I myself, even as a coach, I have those moments too. I have literally those moments where I'm like, "Ah, today is just going to be a lazy day, because
Mhm.
sometimes you do need to just, have a day to recharge.
Yeah.
But the key is to not let that day turn into another day and another day, and it's like a snowball at that point.
Mhm, mhm,
So for those people who may have the lazy moment, and who may say, yeah, I want this, but I don't want to do the work to get it. Well, the one thing about that is their desire,
mhm,
their why is not strong enough.
mm,
Because if people take a self-analysis, if they look within themselves, we'll see and notice that we actually achieve and do those things that we truly want.
mhm,
We will do what it takes for that thing that we truly want. And so,
mhm,
if a person is not putting the action behind the words that they're saying, that's when I have a if I'm able to talk to them, or I'll just let, if
mhm,
I'm not able to talk to them and they're just, say for an example, a listener to this episode, I would encourage them to say, like, decide, do you really want it? You like, is that something that you really want, or
yeah,
does it just sound good?
mhm,
Does it sound good?
mhm,
But for those who may say, I do really want it, I just struggle with, getting started. I struggle with the lack of motivation or whatever.
yeah,
I let them know, okay, there are certain things that you can do to kind of trick yourself, trick your mind, trick your body into working towards what your mind wants as well. And just a quick example would be reward. We have to
mhm,
reward ourselves with something. So when I'm having a lazy moment, I will say, okay, if I'm going to just sit here for the next 2 hours, then I'm going to set a clock or set an alarm for 2 hours. When that timer goes off, then I'm going to get up and do what I need to do. But my reward is to be able to sit here for 2 hours without beating myself up and saying, man, I need to be doing this, or I could be doing this,
mhm,
oh, I'm slacking. No, let me enjoy those 2 hours. That's my reward. In
mhm,
exchange for, okay, when those 2 hours are up, I need to complete A, B, or C.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I used to misunderstand rest with laziness.
Yeah.
I think they could be cousins, but it depends how we look at them, right? So many of us, especially in the society we live in, we feel like we have to keep going. When we go, that's when we have meaning or we feel like we're thriving and doing good. When really, when we stop, that's when we can pause and reflect. And yeah, as you were speaking, I don't know, it just came to mind that not everyone is hungry enough, right? For me, I have a really, really hard time hanging around people who snacks. I want people who are hungry, hungry for purpose, mission, people that are starving just to help people. When I hang around people that just snacks and they don't know, they're not sure. I don't know. I just lose interest. Yeah, it's like I don't know. I rarely see eagles flying with those little tiny birds, right? It's just learning where we are. Do we still fit there? Some people have outgrown their jobs, where they live, their community, their friend circle, whatever it may be, but they stay and they're not growing. They're just there, just to be there.
Yeah, and living a life of misery, most
Hmm.
likely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You're also a certified. We touch about the life, I think, a little bit. You're a certified life coach. Let's talk about the certified relationship coach. That's a messy one. The relationships are so messy. What do you do to help people?
So yeah, definitely. So relationships. So for me, it's not just intimate relationships, with a partner in an intimate way, but relationships also from family and with your boss, your coworkers.
Mhm,
So when for me, a relationship, as being a relationship coach, is all about the relations that you have with different people that you interact with. And so a big piece of that is it falls under the communication piece as well.
mhm, mhm,
It's oftentimes where it's disrespectful type of talk or tonality, or body language, facial expressions, a lot of that comes into the
Mhm.
relationship coaching. But definitely for those where it's more of an intimate partner, we talk about being able to hear your partner's heart, being able to hear what they're saying underneath all of these other extra colorful words, but being able to hear what's the message behind, the words that they chose to use, which may not have been, the best choice of words in that moment. And also just being patient and understanding with
Mhm.
your partner, because they may be sensitive to this particular topic, or sensitive to this thing that you all have or are experiencing.
Mhm.
So a lot of intimate relationship coaching involves patience and needing
Mhm.
to learn and develop patience.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, you brought up family. That's something I also talk a lot about because as much as we want to pretend our families are perfect, but I'm very sure there's shit under the surface. Like we polish, we go out and then pretend, oh, my family's perfect. Uh, no, all families have their own stuff that they go through. Um, when it comes to romantic relationships, I think I'm single for a very good reason. And it wasn't modeled to me how to be in a relationship, friendship, nothing. And I know I'm not alone. There are people who grow up into adults. They don't know. They know the definition of relationship. They don't know what it is like. How do you treat your partner versus your friend, your best friend, your family? And when you add the common laws, all the laws, then the laws really get broken there. So, yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so for those romantic relationships, and for those who didn't have the examples, because this, oh, yeah, you're right. There was a lot of people who did not have
Mhm,
healthy examples. They may have had examples, but maybe not healthy
mhm,
examples, productive examples of
mhm,
having an effective, productive, healthy, loving relationship that's long term. So for those couples, let's just say if it's a couple that comes, the key is to first figure out what does, in your mind, in your belief,
mhm,
in what what does a relationship look like to you, and see if that matches with what your partner is describing as what a relationship looks like to them.
mhm,
That's the start. You first have to both define what relationship is and what it means to both of you individually,
mhm,
and then come together and talk about it, discuss it, and then start to see, okay, well, that's not, I don't agree with that part. Okay, cool. Well, I don't agree with this. So then you create together your own idea, your own vision of what you want your relationship to be between the two of you, because no two relationships are going to be the same. Will they, they won't look the same, they won't operate the same. So it's all about what is going to work best for those two individuals.
mhm. Yeah, you're right. I think the pandemic really tested relationships of all kinds. Um, it truly was a hellish time to be in because people were off work. They were spending more time with loved ones and kids, and it just tested it. And I hope through all those tests that people get the lessons that they needed for things to move forward.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
pandemic
yeah.
was
Hmm.
it was tough for some people, and unfortunately it got really bad in like an abusive way for a lot of people
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
so yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was really hard. Probably still is.
Yeah.
Speaking of abuse, what are your thoughts? I know there are different types of abuse. When we talk about abuse, people think it's verbal, it's physical, but there are also emotional abuse. There are financial abuse. There are so many other types of abuse that we neglect, and if I may say that word, right? We don't really put our attention to it to do anything about it. We just let it fly by, even though it's impacting us. Mhm.
Yeah, and lack of knowledge. lack of truly knowing that abuse there's abuse doesn't just mean a bruise or a black eye or a busted lip.
Mhm, mhm.
you know
Yeah.
so the lack of knowledge of that is what keeps a person in that cycle of abuse,
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, you're
unfortunately.
right. Yeah, yeah. Um, what are the roles of a civil mediator? I know it's different in every country. I don't know which category in the court that you work with to do that.
Yeah, so civil mediation, the easiest way to explain it is where it basically does not involve anything domestic, such as with families, divorces, things like that. Civil mediation, they often deal with business type of issues. So
Mm,
maybe a company versus the client, or a boss, an employee versus the employer,
mhm.
or two co-workers, so it's more so those types of cases.
Oh, okay, okay, I see. Yeah, yeah, because when I was going through child custody stuff, there were mediators there, sitting with the two of us bickering, and then they were just there. They would shut us up and then decide what was in the best interest for my daughter. Yeah, yeah, you're right. There are different kinds of mediators. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, mine. And you are also a court registered family and divorce mediator. I've never been married, not looking to, but tell me your takes on it.
Yeah. So exactly what you were describing, that's the other type of mediation
Okay,
that I do. So we have civil mediation, and then we have family and divorce. It's like family slash divorce,
mhm.
because although a couple may not be married, but it's still a domestic type of case. And
Okay,
so
okay,
in
I see.
those cases, what you just described is the perfect example of if there's, two people and there's a child involved, for an example, then if they aren't able to come to an agreement just between the two of them,
Mhm,
and if the judge either assigns them to work with a mediator, or if the couple says, okay, we can't come to an agreement by ourselves, but we don't want to go to a judge,
mhm,
let's find a mediator to help us come to a decision together and keep it outside of the courts, keep it
mhm,
from having to go to trial.
mhm.
And with doing that, it keeps it private and confidential, to where you're not standing in front of an open court where people can hear your business.
Oh yeah, yeah. The first few times I went in, I'm like, what is this? I thought this was a private thing I had to do, and I don't even know the people's name in the courtroom, and they know all my trash, what's coming out. I'm like, okay, I don't want to keep doing this. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I don't want to keep doing this. I'd like to keep my stuff to myself, but yeah,
Yes,
I
and
think
that's one
that
of the
forces people to not.
Yes, yes. And that's one of the biggest selling points when, two or more people are needing to resolve some sort of dispute
Mhm,
is, hey, come to me as a mediator, instead of, having to go through the whole court process and systems and all of that.
mhm,
Look up your mediator that you trust and someone that you both can agree on and that's
mhm,
truly neutral,
mhm.
and have that mediator assist you all with coming to a mutual agreement at the end of it all.
Mhm, and it's a very lengthy process, it takes so long. You fill
It's
out an
it's a
application, and then you go back, and you go back, and a year or 2 later, it's the same thing. It's like I thought I was moving forward, but I'm, like, kinda stopped halfway, waiting on people to decide for me. Yeah.
exactly, and that's another benefit of using mediators is
Mhm,
you resolve or come to a resolution much faster than having to constantly wait on a court date, and then that court date gets pushed back, and then something else happens, and you have to reschedule. Yeah.
mhm. Yes.
And like you said, having to wait on someone else to make the decision for you, the judge is going to make that decision for you, but in mediation, the two of you, the two parties or multiple parties, they are able to make the decisions together. They have input in the final decision that's being made, because you both have to agree to it at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. What are the judges like where you are in the States? Are they like Judge Judy? I watched her show. I had to grab onto the couch even in my living room, and I went like this. to look. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes, and definitely we have plenty that are like her. Then you have some that are, a little bit more calm and all kinds of personalities because, judges, you either are going to catch them on a good day or you're going to catch them on a bad day. You have
Yeah.
some that are very, they're very likable, but then you have others that people dread to see their name on the
Yeah.
top of their paperwork. But
Yeah.
yeah, with mediation, and this is one thing I do want people to. A lot of people don't really know that that is an option,
Mhm.
and it doesn't just require uh, you to be married and going through a divorce.
Yeah.
Mediation is a person like myself, a mediator. We also work private cases. So I don't just, work cases that are assigned by the courts. I also just do private cases as well, where people look me up online or they get referred by someone and they come to me and we create, the whole case for, for themselves in a private manner. And it doesn't always involve relationships from like two partners. It can
Yeah.
also involve maybe a dispute between siblings, a dispute between parent and child.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
It could be two neighbors.
Mhm.
So it's not just a divorce type of tool that people can use. It's
Mhm.
any type of issue or situation that is causing havoc within your life or your family, and you need someone to truly help you all come to a final resolution and a decision so you can move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. When we're talking about judges, yeah, I've had a few different ones, but I remember one dude asked me a question and he wouldn't let me answer it. He's like, "Oop, stop." I'm like, I'm answering the question you're asking me, but yeah, it can be very scary.
Yeah.
Whew, yeah, I might need a judge very similar, like George Judy between me and my sister. Like we bicker like nothing else.
Oh,
And she's younger. So I'm like, okay, I let her express herself, but yeah, whew, that's a heavy, beautiful work that you do because it comes with a big punch that can either, knock you down or teach you a lesson. But yeah, yes, it's a very, very common situation, I think, all over the world. Conflicts of every kind. Yeah.
yes.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. What other ways do you help people solve disputes? Let's say it's
So
with tax. I don't know. I guess there are so many different things people could bicker about. Tax properties. I don't know. You
yep,
let me.
real estate is definitely a big one. Real
Mhm.
estate, paycheck, dispute in the yes,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
dispute in pay. Yeah.
Yeah.
A dispute in lack of services that weren't rendered based off of an agreement or a contract. So yeah, anything that you can think of is yeah, it's a
Mm,
possibility that it comes across a mediator's desk.
yeah. Yeah. And what you do, would you say it's affordable if someone want to work with you privately?
Absolutely. That's the other thing, the other beauty or benefit about working with a mediator versus going through a judge or a court system or finding an attorney. Because if you work with a mediator, you do not have to have an attorney. Yes, your attorney can be a part of the mediation with you. However, the mediation is much more affordable than working with an attorney or having to go to court and paying all of those fees. 100%.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's good to know. Whew, that was amazing. That was amazing conversation.
Absolutely.
Ooh, wow, I needed this. Yeah. Do you have anything else you would like to share before we wrap up? Oh, even though
Yes.
I could talk all day with you.
Same here. Like same here. Luckily, we have some sort of a timeline because I can talk about life, relationships,
Yeah.
and just self-mastery all day long. I love
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
For a lot of people, coaching and mediation, it for them if it's not something that they may be well versed in, it may
Yeah.
seem like, oh my gosh, how can you do that? But for me, I say the same thing if it's someone, who's like in
Mm,
IT and doing coding. And I'm like, how do you do? So it's just all about what you are passionate about. And if it's a part of your purpose,
mhm,
then it's something that you
mm,
most likely will truly enjoy.
mhm.
Um, but other than that, the one thing that I would like to share as we start closing is a lot of the information that we've been talking about is I pull it from the one-on-one coaching that I have with my clients, and the coaching can be anywhere from 6 to 12 months. And so one of the things that I do want to share, we didn't talk about this in advance, so I hope this is okay.
Oh, yes.
But one of the things that I wanted to offer to you as well as your listeners is
Mhm,
a copy of my coaching program. And again, a lot of the information that we talked about today comes from that. And what it is a self paced coaching program where I take you through all of those principles, the self awareness, the self control, how to set goals, time management, discovering your purpose,
mhm,
effective communication, you name it. All of that I've been able to condense in a self paced coaching program. And it's like an audio book where I'm walking you through different things to do, different homework assignments, and also just teaching principles as well. And so for you as well as your listeners, for anyone who goes to the website, I'll provide the link to you
yeah,
once we're done.
yeah.
If they go to my website and click on the link and enter the code unleash at checkout, then you all will be able to get 50% off. And this coaching program is called What's Your Passcode? Because as we've talked throughout the day today, we may have the same ultimate issues or have experienced, the same types of things, but what may work for you is going to be a little bit different in how it works for the next person. So that's the concept behind the term or the name, What's Your Passcode?
Mhm,
And it's basically the keys to accessing the life of your dreams
mhm.
because it is possible. So 50% off for your listeners if they use the code unleash at checkout.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, I'll share the link with everybody so they can check it out. Looks like you already found my passcode that I've looked for all my life. That's
What?
so cool. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have anything else that we didn't talk about that you would like to share?
Um, I will just leave with the just a reminder. I started the podcast with this and I'll end the podcast with this
Mhm,
is if when you master your mind,
mm,
when you master your emotions, and when you master your assignment, you can live your purpose and you can live on purpose. Meaning, life doesn't have to happen to you, life can
mhm,
happen for you. It's all about what you choose to do.
mhm. Oh, I love that. I'm just writing it down. Mind, emotion, assignment. I
Yes,
just pictured it as steps that can be
exactly.
taken. Oh, I
That's
love
how I
that.
teach it as well. Yes.
Mhm. Wow. Well, Nrgy, thank you so much for your time. This was a beautiful interview. I can't wait to check your site and find out more.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes. And speaking of site, you all will be able to find me online, energyspeakslife.com.
Mhm,
And if you're into social media, you can connect with me through those different social media channels, whatever you prefer, still
mhm,
by going to the website. The website is the best place to go to, it's the hub to connect with me and to be able to just start working together.
mhm. Wow. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.